This is what Iranians saw earlier this year when non-Muslim representatives of the self-described first feminist government of Sweden paid a state visit to Tehran, Swedish ministers wearing Islamic head coverings. The Swedes could have chosen the moment to bravely show their support for Iranian women, some of whom are risking their lives to fight for the right to not wear a hijab. Instead, Swedish officials showed their support for Iran's Islamic government, saying later that not to wear a headscarf would be illegal. But critics say this kind of double standard on women's rights is nothing new in Sweden, where the world's first feminist government has had a role in making the nation less safe for women. Sweden likes to think it has a feminist government, but it seems there are two sets of women's rights here, one for native Swedes and another for immigrants.
I think that there is a lot of hypocrisy.
Swedish parliament member Amina Kakabeva knows a thing or two about Iran and headscarves. A Kurd born into a Muslim family in Iran, she became a Peshmerga guerrilla fighter as a teenager rather than lose her rights as a woman in Iran's Islamic theocracy. Today, she is fighting for women as a member of Sweden's left party. But she's been called a racist and an Islamophobe when she speaks against Islamic fundamentalism or honor violence in immigrant communities. So you say you're called sometimes an Islamophobe?
In Sweden?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is in Sweden. It is horrible, but unfortunately.
Her message is that in a nation that likes to think of itself as one of the most advanced societies in the world, a nation with the population of the state of North Carolina, 200,000 young people are now at risk from honor violence. Some Swedish hospitals have even done virginity checks on young women, which is a key component in honor culture. Statistics also show that the incidence of sexual crimes have risen dramatically, but Swedish economist and author Dr. Tino Sanindaji says the Swedish establishment continues to insist there is no firm link between immigrants and crime, sexual or otherwise.
To this day, they deny it. I mean, official government homepage says there is no link between immigration and crime.
How can they say that?
They're irrational and they're in a bubble. It's sort of the equivalent of fake news. They're putting propaganda in our government home sites. They will use irrational, aggressively irrational arguments to deny all causal links. They will say what you said. They say things like, the common denominator in honor killings is men. You know, it's just an illogical, rhetorical trick to confuse people.
The Swedish government website insists the government is not covering up the connection between immigrants and crime, but then goes on to blame the crime on socioeconomic differences. Meanwhile, in a nation where the safety of women should be paramount, women have taken action to defend themselves, creating groping guards at public pools to keep men from assaulting them. Tasers and pepper spray are illegal in Sweden, so authorities somehow think these bracelets that say "do not molest me" will help.
I feel threatened because if I walk outside at night, it can happen to me too. I can't defend myself.
But the most vulnerable women in Sweden today are migrants, living in fear in refugee shelters, as shown in this Swedish documentary. As this documentary shows, the Swedish media is now at least showing the problem.
I think Sweden is a tipping point now in the debate as we speak.
Conservative journalist and blogger Johan Westerholm says Sweden has imported a whole host of problems with its immigration policy, including migrants who are not educated enough to get jobs in Sweden's high-tech economy. What would be the reaction if someone said this was a big mistake?
Racist.
And there's still an unwillingness in some quarters to demand that migrant men become more civilized in their treatment of women.
The Swedish model is multiculturalism. And the official message is keep your culture. You don't have to integrate, right? That's the message the government is saying. In fact, we don't want you to integrate.
And it feels as if the Swedish government's #1 priority is preserving its multicultural experiment and not protecting women. Dale Hurd, CBN News, Stockholm.